Story 1. Original post. Am I the a-hole for giving crappy Christmas gifts and ruining my marriage? Throwaway account for anonymity. I, 31 female, married my soon-to-be ex-husband, male 33, in 2018. My in-laws never liked me and made it clear. Soon-to-be ex insisted that they're just putting up a tough exterior, and they'll grow to love me. To show how evil they are, one time I joined them for dinner and brought a cake I'd made, because I was always raised to be a gracious guest. When I stepped into the kitchen and offered the cake to his mother as a thank you for inviting me, she took the plate over to the garbage bin, dumped it in, and handed me the plate back. When I told my husband what she did, he confronted her, and all of a sudden the crocodile tears started, and she claimed she grabbed the plate but didn't get a good grip. I let go too quickly, and it fell to the floor, so of course it had to be thrown away. My sister-in-law confirmed that was what happened. My soon-to-be ex owned his own business, and they called me a gold digger behind his back. Of course, they insisted on a prenup, which I didn't care about because I never thought my marriage would end and it would appease them, and may allow them to finally treat me kindly. Nope. His business failed once COVID hit. We went through his savings and my own trying to keep it afloat. I refused to go into debt to keep it going, so he closed it down. In 2022, he was suffering from really bad depression because he lost his business and couldn't find new work. He suggested we move to his hometown, closer to his family, so he had a larger support network. Against my best judgment, we did. He wanted to only work part-time while he tried to restart his business, so I became the main breadwinner. And as with most wives, I became the person in charge of buying gifts. Stupid old me thought buying them thoughtful, expensive gifts would finally make them see I wanted to be accepted by them. Gifts to us were a couple's gift, but clearly for my soon-to-be ex only. Every holiday was spent with them, monthly dinners with the whole family. After a year, I realized that if I ever tried to talk or join a conversation, everyone would go quiet. So I just stopped talking when I visited. In early December, they finalized plans for Christmas. A few days later, my soon-to-be ex said his family decided they didn't want me to join them for Christmas Eve dinner and Christmas lunch because I ruined the family vibe. I replied, "Fine, we'll do our own thing instead." My soon-to-be ex sheepishly looked away and said he was still going to go. I was livid and so disappointed in him. That was the moment I knew my marriage was over. So I returned the presents I had bought for his family. In their place, I got one pair of novelty business socks for father-in-law, a supermarket brand bottle of shampoo for mother-in-law, the nastiest perfume I could find at the dollar store for sister-in-law. The most expensive gift was a large rawhide bone for brother-in-law and his wife's chihuahua, too big for it to get its jaw around, rendering it useless. I saved about $600 to put on a deposit for a new apartment. My husband come home from Christmas lunch telling me I humiliated him and embarrassed him in front of his family. I asked him why would he think I'd buy nice gifts for people who clearly don't like me and don't want me around. Served divorce papers last week. Remember how he was supposed to be a millionaire by now, so we had that prenup? Soon-to-be ex is not eligible for any of my savings. It was required to keep separate accounts or alimony. He doesn't have money for rent and auto insurance. Not my problem anymore. Some of my friends and family and on my side and proud that I went out in a blaze of glory. Others are telling me I was being way too petty, which isn't really like me. So, am I the a-hole? Now for the comments. Not the a-hole. He chose his family over you and still expected you to buy all the presents? This was perfectly planned and well-deserved for every one of them, including him. He only worked 12 hours a week at Walmart till he could do non-existent work restarting his business. I make just over 6 figures, and I can't believe I didn't realize years ago I was the family ATM. Not the a-hole. You were treated horribly. Good riddance. Exactly, they treated her like crap. Good for her for finally walking away. Not the a-hole. So thoughtful of them to insist on a prenup. I hope you send them a sincere thank you note after the divorce is finalized, LOL. My lawyer even laughed that the prenup that was set up for him is going to be what we use for me. It required both spouses to maintain separate bank accounts, and each spouse could keep 100% of their savings. No spouse eligible for alimony. I would have gotten rawhide bones for all of them. Good on you for getting out. Not the a-hole. When I was reading the post, at first I thought she bought the rawhide for brother-in-law. Not gonna lie, I cackled. Then I read the rest of the sentence, still deserved a giggle. They really should have all gotten rawhides. I would say be glad you did not have children with him. Be glad you can escape and be free with no strings. P.S. This relationship should be a learning lesson on the love that you want for yourself and the life you want, not as a loss. First thing I did after I moved into my new apartment was adopt an older car from the shelter. He was allergic, and I couldn't never adopt one since we first started living together. We're just two old hags living our best lives after being rejected. Not the a-hole. Now, baby boy can be happy he can go live with mommy, daddy, and sissy. And you don't have to shoulder the burden of an infant you didn't give birth to. Win-win. You are young, financially independent, and probably hot as heck. Go forth and enjoy your new life. Update. Many thanks to everyone for their support in my last post. I thought I'd send a small update. First, for those who asked how the deposit on my new apartment was only the $600 I saved on the gifts, it certainly wasn't. I had to dip into savings, but that $600 helped. My soon-to-be ex didn't bother reaching out to me after I left until he was served the divorce papers, and my lawyer made it clear we're exercising the prenup. Then it was loving voicemails and texts I never picked up from him and his family for a few days trying to convince me to come back, which eventually turned to threatening and cruel voicemails and texts when it was clear I wasn't budging. My lawyer suggested I don't block them so we have evidence of harassment if needed. Basically, give them the rope to hang themselves with. But then last night I got call after call from my soon-to-be ex. Stupidly, I picked it up thinking there was some kind of emergency or something. I barely got hello out when he said, "The rent is a week late." I told him that's strange because I paid my landlord 6 days ago. He paused and sighed dramatically and replied, "No, the rent for here." I reminded him I don't live there and he shouldn't expect rent. Cue his parents both texting me that they're going to sue me to pay the remainder of the lease entirely. I'm not worried about having an eviction on my record, since the apartment is in his parents' names. When we first announced we were moving to his hometown, they rented an apartment for us right away so we could move right in. They've been renewing the lease each year. We had to pay his parents and then they write a check to the landlord, who has no idea who STBX and I are, let alone that we lived there. Red flag, I know. I'm glad I had a few weeks to prep my leaving since they'd probably use the fact that it's their apartment to kick me out immediately. Divorce is probably going to be a bumpy ride with this man-child and his psycho parents. Any advice from anyone who's been through it is welcome. Now for the comments. OMG, this is priceless. They deserve everything they're gonna get with everything in their name. We're gonna need an update as things go. Don't block, just mute them. Lawyer is right. Use the prenup. Don't back down. You got this. You won't have any eviction on your record because the landlord doesn't know you were living there. Between your ex and his parents, they should be able to pay the rent. Exactly. And was there anything written that you pay the parents for rent? Did you sublet it from them? Also, according to the lease, if the parents signed the lease, they may have broken it by having you guys living there. The lease signatories are supposed to be the ones living in the place the lease names. Let them try to sue you. If they bring the lease to a lawyer, they'll be laughed at. Seems like you have everything under control. Best of luck, you'll need it with them. Do you even have a contract at the place your soon-to-be ex is living? I don't think they have a basis for suing you, LOL. What does your lawyer say? Lawyer is confident they have no leg to stand on. I haven't signed any type of lease and utilities are in their name too, because they were afraid of having too many names connected to the apartment and the landlord finding out. So they are on the hook for everything that doesn't get paid. But hey, that was their choice and their scheming. F around and find out. Story 2. Am I the a-hole for telling my fiance he doesn't have my back when he told a humiliating story about me in front of his entire family? A long time ago, back when low-rise jeans were popular, My boyfriend and I ran into Walmart for some things. I had to get some items on the lower shelf, so I hitched my pants up as high as I could and bent down. I had to grab a few things, and I guess in that time, a mother and small son came down the aisle and stood behind me. I guess that kid's face was like 12 inches from my butt crack. Guess the mom noticed and wasn't too happy. Those jeans got thrown out the next day and never bought a pair of low-rise jeans again. It's been 14 years. We were invited over to his sister's family's house for the Super Bowl. We're having a great time, and if a sudden he decides it's a great time to tell that story in front of his entire family and his sister's new husband's family. Not only that, but tells it using descriptives like disgusting, and made me look just about as trashy as possible, and then said that I knew it was happening and didn't care, and told him to shut up when he told me they were there, which never happened. In the car, he goes, "Are you mad?" I told him that he's demonstrated that he's someone who doesn't have their partner's back. I told him that was a betrayal because he knew that story was embarrassing. He said that because he thinks I have no reason to be embarrassed, that he's done nothing wrong. And it's crazy of me to say he doesn't have my back. I feel like he just wanted laughs and attention, and he didn't care at all that it came at my expense. One big reason why I feel like he doesn't have my back. He decided to knowingly break the law because, again, he thought he knew better, and got arrested and spent 7 months in prison, leaving me holding a huge bag of crap and needing to do everything on my own during that time, including pay all our bills. He's been out for about a year. During that time, I bought us a house. By myself. For 12 years, he didn't have his license, so I did all our driving. If I got a flat or something, I had to call my parents. My parents had my back while he was gone too. So, I don't know if this is just leftover resentment from all that, or if I actually do have a legit reason to feel hurt, betrayed. I just feel like after every sacrifice I've made for us entitles me to what I would consider to be adequate treatment from him. Am I overthinking this? Now Ford, the comments. Girl, why you with him? You got a house without him, so you can be self-sufficient without him. He's just dragging you down. It took him 12 years to get a license? What are you, his mom? The fact y'all have been together for 12 years and he's still your fiance shows he ain't never gonna be nothing else but the fiance. Girl, why you with this loser of a man when you can do so much better? You're a placeholder, good enough to stay with to make his life easier. But he's still unconvinced that you are truly worthy of the wonder that is him. So he's keeping the role of wife vacant in case something better comes along. His story was humiliating and disrespectful, and his dismissal of your feelings is hurtful. His past actions reinforce a pattern of not having your back. Your feelings are valid. Someday, OP will hopefully look back on these miserable years with this loser, and hopefully be in a much better place with someone that makes them happy. You know, life without a man is just as valid. Being in a bad relationship isn't worth being able to say, fiance. What does he do that brings you joy every day? He not only humiliated you in front of his family, he lied in order to disrespect you and knock down your value and confidence in yourself. Why doesn't he like to see you happy and enjoying yourself with his family? Does he knock your self-confidence often? Definitely not the a-hole. Again, evaluating what he does to make your life better each day would be a good idea. You achieved so much when he was in prison. You should be so proud of yourself. Why isn't he praising your achievements? If it helps, I think you sound amazing. I am really wondering if it's because I had said earlier that night that I was proud of all I've accomplished, and this was his passive-aggressive way of reminding me that I'm only worth the sum total of my worst moments. This really shocked me. He's acted like he really supported my career progression and lifestyle changes, lost 40 pounds, and got in the best shape of my life. Not the a-hole, but you seriously need to reevaluate this relationship. Your fiancé didn't just tell an embarrassing story. He twisted it to make you look bad, used degrading language, and outright lied about how it happened. That's not just thoughtless. It's disrespectful and frankly mean-spirited. The fact that he didn't immediately apologize and instead tried to gaslight you into believing it wasn't a big deal is a massive red flag. But the bigger issue here is that this isn't the first time he's shown you he doesn't have your back. He got arrested and left you to deal with everything on your own. You paid the bills, you bought a house, you drove everywhere. You called your parents for help when he should have been there for you. And now, after all your sacrifices, he still doesn't respect you enough not to humiliate you for cheap laughs. You're wondering if you're overthinking this. You're not. You're underthinking just how little this man has actually given you in return for everything you've done for him. So no, you're not the a-hole for being hurt. But you would be the a-hole to yourself if you keep letting this man treat you like an afterthought. You deserve someone who respects and supports you, not someone who throws you under the bus for a laugh after you literally carried the weight of the relationship. Thank you for listening. If you like the video, consider like and subscribe. If you want more stories like these, turn on your notification to receive the latest stories.